Welcome, East Coasters, to East Coast DNA. This is
Darcy, who did not make that theme song.
He did not. I made the theme song. And I'm Andrew. And with us today is Kylie Fox. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm doing well.
So Kylie's in New Brunswick. We have you listed as Fredericton, New Brunswick. And is that where you grew up, or is that just where you are now?
That's where I am now. I'm from St. John, New Brunswick.
What drew you to Fredericton?
I fell in love. I fell in love with Ryan Barry Beats. He's now my drummer, and we now own a house on the north side. And we have a happy little existence. He sells drumsticks, and I, work from home most of the time, writing songs and promoting shows. And
so does he have his own drumstick company?
He works for Los Cabos.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We'll link that in the description.
Is that some of your networking? I know that I hear that name a lot. I would say a good chunk of the drummers that have been through this podcast are sponsored.
Are endorsed by Los Cabos?
Yeah, I've heard the name a few times.
Yeah.
That's a good company.
There you go.
And also, Ryan's the friendliest marketing guy in the world. He just loves going to shows, meeting drummers, and helping drummers out.
Just living his dream, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like it worked out for you. You got your music on the go and everything, so Fredericton's treating you well.
Fredericton has such a welcoming and vibrant arts community.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lived here. I moved here like March 17th, 2020, like the day that that the pandemic sort of like took charge of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of Canada. I was at the Banff Center doing an artist residency.
Oh no.
At the time. So the residency got cut short, which was such a bummer. All of us were having such a great time. And, it was one of my dreams to get into that residency. I had tried to get in a couple of years. Anyway, it was absurd. It was like very bizarre watching COVID happen when you were kind of secluded in a mountain with 30 songwriters. Everyone's coming to the dinner table with like a different piece of news. And anyway, instead of going home to St. John, I moved in with Ryan. Luckily things worked out, and here we are.
I think about those people that were in relationships that were new, and they just start living together, the pandemic hit, and then they're like, this isn't working. And then you're like, what do I do? Like, do I move out? Do I go somewhere?
Yeah.
It would have been a bizarre time to.
It's a risk. And yeah, it would have been a weird time to, like, I don't know, have to move back in with my mom and dad.
Yeah.
So the residency, what led to that? Because we'll get into your catalog a little bit in a minute here, but your first album, Green, was it?
Yeah.
That would have been timing around the same time as the residency. Is that correct? When it was being released?
I recorded it with Dale Murray at summer of 2019. And then I went to the Banff Center in 2020. There was a single out at the time, but other than that, I applied. I did have my first project I ever released was called Balcony EP in 2017. It was an EP that was too long to be an EP. And it's nice to, all of those songs rock. I still play some of them in my sets. But I feel like I've had to grow up as an artist. I put myself in the public eye. And I grew up as an artist publicly. I did not wait to be refined. I just like plowed through not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And learning my way through, how to talk to producers, how to talk to audio engineers, how to get what I want, how to know how to ask for it. How to think really critically about what I'm doing beyond the lyrics and the melodies. Yeah.
Was the 2017 EP then, was that with Dale as well, or was that more independent?
I recorded that with audio engineer Corey Bonnevie from Monopolized Records in St. John. Yeah.
And what was the time span in between those two projects like then? Like, how did you get to the point that you met Dale and you were working with him?
I put the record out in 2017, and then I was still in university, and I had a university band. There's 3 of us, and they were so good. They were like science students, and we just got along so well. I booked us a whole tour during our spring break. We went from Halifax to Windsor, Ontario, and back, and rented a van. We got like a tiny little SoCan grant to do it. And I think that was my first. I guess the band didn't work out, and it was heartbreaking. It was like breaking up with 2 people at once, and you'd see them around school, and your impulse would be to turn away. So instead of like continuing on my own, I said screw it, and I went out west and I tree planted for a 3rd season. And you don't get much done when you're tree planting. You get a lot of
No.
songs written, but you just end up spending the whole summer secluded in the woods. But when I came back, Eddie Young, I don't know if you're familiar with Eddie Young, Roots and Soul Music Promotions. He runs Living Roots here. He had seen me play a ridiculous set at Folly Fest the year before. I played, God knows what I played. The Tinder song and the cat song, all my vulgar songs that I was writing when I was 20. And he came up to me at Harvest Jazz and Blues and he said, you got to get on the road. I'm going to book you a tour. So 2018, 2019, I toured all by myself. I went out west. I did Vancouver Island. I did Calgary, Medicine Hat. Ended up in all these hole-in-the-wall places and having the best time, meeting some cool people, and starting to write green. So by the time I go to the ECMAs in 2019 and meet Dale, I felt more equipped to put out a second project. And my debut full length is what I would consider it. Balcony EP no longer exists. I took it down. It turned 5 in November and I took it down. I thought about why I was taking it down. And I think, practically speaking, I'm a business. I need to market myself. That no longer represents what I'm doing as an artist. But a part of me is like, wow, like, look how much I've changed in my 20s since I put this out.
The funny thing, a lot of stories from artists, musicians like yourself, that we and Andrew here, there's a lot of ways that we can relate, even though it's a different field to that type of thing. There is an episode that I did take down. It was the first bonus episode that I did on my own. And I took that down in November as well by coincidence. It was probably just about a year old at the time, but I was embarrassed by it and I decided to take it down. But by coincidence, I was just thinking of it since you mentioned it. I actually have a concept to revisit it and kind of remix it a little bit and put it back out because there's an interview in there that I do want to salvage out of it. So it's nice to be able to curate your own collection, like you said, where you create your own image. But it's also nice to be able to have the ability to revisit some of your older works too. Now, I don't have the 5-year span that you did there, but I can kind of relate in a way from the marketing and artistic side kind of colliding at the same time.
And I definitely agree
that just leave everything there.
From the ages 18 to 25, you definitely change a lot as a person, who you are. And I think if your 30-year-old self met your 20-year-old self, you wouldn't even recognize yourself. You change a lot. So changing the art definitely is a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And just what I just feel so much smarter. And I have so much respect for the girl who was on like Dinner Time News, Atlantic Canadian Dinner Time News, singing the Tinder song, being like, this is exposure. This is going to make me big. And I do wonder if coming out of the gates as a comedy, like a vulgar comedy act, has tampered my like how I've been perceived. And I've had to sort of rebuild my brand to be a bit more serious. Of course, humor is at the base of a lot of my songwriting. I just have that kind of, I don't know if it's cynical, but when I'm writing, I guess it can be kind of quirky sometimes. That remains, that's at the heart of every song. but I'm just not, dropping F-bombs and singing about getting up to no good anymore.
Yeah. Now, I do know of you since we've been doing this podcast, since your album was out around the time or just before we had started doing the East Coast DNA podcast. Your songs that I knew was more so stuff that you did with Nikki Gallant.
Oh yeah, excellent.
So there was a couple, I think there was 2 singles that I can think of. Definitely the skateboard one's the one that I knew more. But how did that come about? Because that is not the Kylie Fox that I saw playing at the Thistle here in Glasgow about a month ago. It's a different version of you.
Yeah, no, Darcy, I'm a folk singer.
Yeah, exactly.
So Music PEI hosts what they call the Canadian Song Challenge.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar.
So they pair maybe 10 PEI artists with an artist from each province. So I was so lucky and blessed to get paired with Nikki Gallant. And the idea is you get 2 weeks to write and produce 2 songs. So every pairing is matched with a producer, and we were matched with Daniel Ledwell. At the time, he wasn't on my radar, but I was a huge fan of Jenn.
Okay.
And so our first Zoom meeting, I'm like sweating. I'm like, oh my gosh, Daniel Ledwell, he's married to Jenn Grant. This is huge. And anyway, so Nikki and I, neither of us really conformed to the 2 styles of music that we put out together. And that's the magic of co-writing, is that you're not tied to any expectation, or your habits. You're just opening a new door for what can we create together in this moment. So yeah, I mean, those songs are kind of they're kind of pop songs. They're super fun. They're vibey, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. And I'm happy that that's how I ended up finding Dan, because he is producing my Sequoia, my forthcoming album, my second full length
2024 album.
Yeah.
This year's flying by.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like it's that far away. I feel like it just became 2023, but we're just entering our second quarter of the year. So that album's not too far off. And I guess that's what really is the drive behind bringing you here today. We did meet not too long ago, so I was glad to be able to get you on the podcast. But you have a new single coming out that would be, is it the first single from that album?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So do you want to tell us a little bit about Confetti?
Sure. So Confetti started as an earworm melody in my head with nonsense lyrics. And it would just run and run and run in my head. I'm like, what can I do with this? And then I was meeting a new friend, and she was telling me about her life, and she told me about this romance she had. So Confetti is indeed not my own love story. It's about someone else. I stole it, as many great artists do. So I guess her ex flame wrote to her on New Year's, years later, married, saying, in an alternate universe, you and I would still be together, yada, yada. And I was like, that is the vibe of this melody in my head. So I just wrote the story.
Perfect.
That's funny, because I always, I listen to a lot of sappy music when I'm by myself. I didn't realize until I started making playlists for the podcast.
When we were younger, we shared a wall for our bedrooms, right beside each other. And when Darcy's in there and the doors closed, it was always sappy music. I hear him crying through the door all the time.
Yeah.
He was just bawling in there by himself.
Yeah,
no, really. What was he hearing on your side?
Kiss.
Oh, yeah, Kiss.
When I was a teenager, mostly Kiss and Beastie Boys.
Yeah, that'd be. But yeah, as far as the backstories behind them, where I did see that you do kind of interact with the crowd a little bit and give that kind of songwriter circle style to your performance, because there's some stories behind the lyrics, and you do kind of work the crowd a little bit there. So I always am convinced in my head, I envision that the person singing that story happened to them. but being more cognizant of how many devastating stories I've heard in lyrics, I realized that like there's no way that all those horrible things happen to the same person. So it
You
is
never know.
interesting to hear that you're influenced by people around you and other stories as well, which as you say, it is very common, but from the fan side of things, it's really interesting to hear that kind of a backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And I did hear avocado comes up a lot in your comments, which ties into one of your songs. So that must be one of your more popular ones for performing live, is it?
Yes, Avocado is a song about, there's an app, when you're pregnant, you can every week, it, like, compares your fetus to a fruit or vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
So the song I wrote is everything that I would be wondering if I was about to have a child. And I think that is, like, such a relatable topic. I mean, there's so many parents out there who feel that way, who nervous and excited and scared and so yeah, I get a lot of fans that are pregnant will send me when their baby's the size of an avocado. I get those notifications all the time. I also have a bunch of avocado like objects, like avocados are like kind of like a hot item in like gift shops. Like
Yeah.
it's just like an image that is like selling a lot. So we've got avocado salt and pepper shakers, an avocado oven mitt. We have an avocado like dry erase marker board. We have an avocado like beach towel. It's got to stop. I got to put my foot down.
I got a sticker pack, and I think half the stickers are avocados. And I was like, what's with all the avocados? But that was probably why, because it's the thing right now.
Yeah, it's trendy.
Like ducks in the 90s. Everything was ducks in the 90s. Ducks and apples. So
right now it's like gnomes, I think.
Yeah.
Gnomes are hot right now.
I had Spider-Man stuff growing up that I'd have displayed around, and then once people knew that was like anytime somebody wanted to give a gift or something, they're like, oh, here's a random Spider-Man thing, which between the 90s and the 2000s that got so popular with all the movies and cartoons and everything. I had boxes and boxes. Like I couldn't do anything with it. I had to get rid of a bunch of it years ago. Like it was just way too many things.
Please, no more.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I do have one random question that kind of ties back to something that you said earlier that wasn't a prepared question. I'm curious, since you mentioned Dale Murray, did you have an opportunity to be on the Chat with Art podcast as well?
Yes.
Yeah, because I do listen to that, and I do think I did listen to one with you on it. It might have been a while ago now, though.
Yeah, that was probably a year ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Christina. Well, I mean, the thing is, recording with Dale, I was like living in their house for the weekend.
Yeah. Okay.
That I was there, so I got to know Christina. And I would go for runs together. I was actually thinking about her today. I just haven't talked to her in a long time, and I've been wondering what she's been up to. You kind of just ebb and flow with the people that you're working with, and anyway, no, she's awesome. She was such a model for me, just like Jenn. Now I know. Now I've got like a friendship with Jenn, but at the time when I saw Christina at the ECMAs, I was like, holy cow, this girl. She like, what a performer. So it was cool to, grow and have a relationship with her. She's like a great mentor for me.
Yeah, I did get a chance to catch her here on the Pictou waterfront, a free performance actually last summer. I was blown away because I was already familiar with her work. I listened to the podcast, and I think we've had a couple of her singles in some of our playlists in the past year too. So definitely was familiar with everything and wanted to catch it, but I haven't heard the acoustics up there sound like that before. I don't know if that's Dale floating around. He was on site, but the combination of them, they're a great duo out there in the industry. It's great to see. They're very encouraging and supportive of others too. So that's something that we always like to see here on this podcast. So more than happy to see more podcasts out there covering some of the same topics and exploring some of the same artists for sure. So what do you have going on moving forward beyond the single release that will be out this Saturday, April 1st? So you have performances that are scheduled. I maybe know, but little bit, but I'd rather you say, because I don't know how much I know that I can share.
I've got a couple things going on. I think the thing I'm most excited for is I was cast as Joni Mitchell in The Last Waltz. That's
Ooh.
touring around New Brunswick. So I'll be
That's
singing
awesome.
Coyote at the Imperial, and we're doing Moncton and Fredericton too. Joni Mitchell, I don't know if you can pick up on it from my music. She's a massive influence to me.
I was just going to
Um,
say that in your EPK, I was skimming through some of the comparisons that you had written up in there, but yeah, Joni Mitchell's one. I was going to ask you that earlier if that was an influence, because you have a unique singing style, especially for the region.
Interesting. I mean, I don't like I wonder how singing styles get developed because I like, I do think that you start sounding like the people that you listen to. I did go to Mount Allison and study opera for 2 years.
Okay.
So I'm classically trained. But Brandi Carlile is another one. Gosh, I straightened my hair to Brandi Carlile every day in high school, and I just think that, I think because that's the type of music I was listening to. That's like how it molded my voice. But there's not a music video, a home video of my dad, and I'm like maybe a couple months old, and he's dancing with me in the living room. And he doesn't realize that my mom has the video camera on, and she turns around the corner, and he's dancing with me to Night Ride Home with Joni Mitchell, and then notices her and takes me and starts to as if he's deriving Joni Mitchell into my head. Joni Mitchell, my dad remembers the first time he saw Joni Mitchell on the cover of a magazine when he was 16 and just fell absolutely in love. So I think that my love of Joni Mitchell is also at the basis of my love with my dad. And I'm actually going to go see her in June. She's performing at the Gorge.
Awesome.
Oh, really?
In Seattle. So this is a big Joni Mitchell year for me.
And when's the tour go? You said it's going around New Brunswick for the Last Waltz?
Yeah, that's April 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Okay.
That's coming up. I'm doing a little songwriter circle tour with John Muirhead and my BFF Braden Lamb. We're hitting up Miramichi at New Maritime, here at the Tipsy Muse in Fredericton, and Baba's Lounge in PEI, so that'll be fun. Braden and I toured Newfoundland in 2021, and I can't wait to sit in a car with him for a couple hours again.
Yeah.
And then it's just trying to figure out what the summer and fall look like. And developing a plan. I actually have a consultant right now.
Ooh.
I've recently registered as a business, so I actually have 2 consultants right now to try to get my feet under myself. I have to say I am not organized naturally, and it just takes a lot of work, a lot of whiteboards and lists and color coding for me to get everything done.
So before you go too far in that, I do want to cut in there because you say you're not organized, but then you listed off a bunch of organization skills. So you are, but do you have a management team now, or are you doing it all yourself aside from the consultants you just mentioned?
Well,
I mean, you collaborate with everybody, but I mean, are you self-managed at this point?
I'm self-managed. I don't have a team.
So
That
you're
is
more organized. You're more organized than you let on.
I think I feel unorganized because
Yeah.
I'm playing the role of publicist, of booking agent, of manager, social media marketing director, of songwriter, band leader. My biggest goal for this album is to help me get a team. I'm getting to a
Awesome.
point where the work, luckily, gratefully, I'm having a lot of work. I'm playing a lot of shows. I'm getting yeses to lots of emails. And I would love to hand this off now that I know how to do all these jobs and what to expect and how the standard that's set. It's ultimately I'm a little nervous to pass it on because no one's gonna work as hard as I am for myself. But for now, I'll just keep on emailing the hell out of this country, and hopefully I can make some good connections through this music. I'm so excited for this album. It's got 12 songs, and I'm probably going to release it slowly. I'll probably be releasing like singles. I might even do 7 or 8 singles. That's the climate that we're in right now.
Yeah.
It would give me something to talk about. And I think every song is so good. I just want to give them all a chance.
Yeah, I've given them their own lifespan aside from, I mean, I still have the old school, I like an album, but having it delivered piecemeal over a period of time, and then the album comes out and you're like, oh, I know all these songs. This is a solid album. I'm adjusting to that now over the last couple of years, especially talking to a lot of independent artists like yourself. I'm familiar with your songs because I see you live. I'm familiar with your singles, and then an album comes out. I'm like, oh, I'd be more than happy to drop some money down for this because I'm supporting the person who I now know, and I'm familiar with all the work, so I know it's a solid purchase too. So it is a different world, but I think you're falling right into the right strategy for the environment we're in today.
Yeah, well, it was my consultant's idea.
Yeah, well, there you go. Kudos to the consultant.
Yeah.
And speaking of shout outs to your supporting team, you had mentioned an early version of your band, or that you had a band early on that didn't work out. But aside from Kylie Fox, the Nikki Gallant collaborator, and the folk singer that I've seen just recently, you do have a full band version that you tour with as well.
Oh yeah, my band is kick-ass. That's what you got to come to that show. I mean, my solo show and my band show are so different. My solo show is folked down, and I draw out those stories because I love it, and that's the show that I like to see. I love it when songwriters bring you into their world and tell you this is why I wrote the song, or this is why I'm excited to sing you the song. So that's why I do that. But with the band, like I've got Kelly Waterhouse on the team. And so we can sprinkle some flute through here. We can do some ambient organ, backup singers. Cam sings backing vocals. Like the 5 of us have a lot of fun, and we've got a great dynamic and really good energy. I'm stoked about it. I just wish it wasn't so goddamn expensive to tour.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. I complain about gas driving back and forth from Halifax just to catch shows, but I can only imagine if my living depended on me getting back and forth from Halifax instead of I want to go.
We did just we debuted at the Horseshoe Tavern, and we did like a little Ontario Quebec tour. Luckily awesome. Music NB has been an awesome support and funded the trip, but yeah, really going forward you have to be really strategic about where you're putting yourself, making sure that you've got ticket buyers and enough money to cover gas, like you said.
Yeah. Where did you play at in Windsor, out of curiosity? When you went to Windsor,
okay, I've played Windsor twice. I've played at Fog Lounge, and I played at, it was like some sort of brewery with like a big door that opened up. What was it called?
It sounds like somewhere Andrew's been.
my wife's from Windsor, so. And I have been to a brewery with a big door that opens up.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it either, but yeah. Could be it.
The bar with no name.
Yeah.
We were just so excited. We had no idea that it was just going to feel so American and like, there's Detroit. Like, I don't know why we were so in the dark. But
it's bizarre standing on the waterfront
and
looking at Detroit. And then when you stop and think, I'm looking north. Like you're looking north and seeing Detroit. So you're underneath, and it just seems every time it's a bizarre feeling.
Like a little fishhook of Canada. Stuck right in there.
Tucked in there. So something we do every week, we put out a companion playlist for every episode. And we base it around you and artists that inspire you locally, and maybe some other projects that your bandmates worked on. So is there anyone that might be outside your box that we might not catch that you would want on that list of people to push that you care about?
Or if Stump, just shout outs to some of your friends, people that you've performed with.
Yeah.
Put on Sadie Donahue's Popcorn. She's awesome, and I hope she has more music coming out.
Perfect.
I'll probably throw in something from Andre Petitpas as well, since he was my introduction to you personally.
Yeah, that was so sweet of you guys to come to that show.
Oh yeah, and my daughter was with us for that one too.
Yeah,
because she usually shadows me around for the local shows, especially the smaller, like acoustic ones, because there's not a lot of drinking or anything around at the bars for that stuff. So yeah, she's able to come to quite a few.
She's a lightweight when she hits the bottle. She can't handle
she can't handle the beer too well.
Yeah.
Give her another 6 years, I'm sure she'll
Oh my gosh.
destroy that notion altogether.
Yeah.
So where can anybody follow you online that wants to follow the progression of your single releases and whatever other great marketing campaigns these consultants help you with?
Instagram, Facebook, those are the easy ones. I'm pretty good at Instagram. You can see some funny stuff on there if you're lucky.
And it's at Kylie Fox?
It's at _Kylie Fox _.
Perfect.
My website is www.kyliefox.ca. Join my mailing list for all upcoming shows and events and new releases.
And instead of rewinding, we'll link that in the description below. So go down there and click on that link and you can go right to the website. And we'll link your Bandcamp as well. Instagram, Bandcamp, website. We'll link those.
Hey, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And,
Oh, I've got some awesome t-shirts.
Oh, awesome.
My t-shirts look like a tarot card filled with crocuses and kind of like a very very female looking organ in the middle. They're beautiful and everyone should go onto Bandcamp and check it out. Maybe they want one.
Yes.
Awesome. We'll put a link to that in the description too.
Yeah, for sure.
Since you soloed it right out, we'll put a link so people can click on that easily.
Yeah.
And a quick question for myself there before we wrap up. Are you going to be at the ECMAs as well in Halifax?
I will absolutely be at the ECMAs.
I'll be looking for you there. I float around and try to make sure that I say hi to everybody. So
Okay, awesome. The band is playing May 5th.
awesome.
So
That's what I was looking forward to.
I'll let you know when that is or where that is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we're going to play out with Confetti. That's your single that comes out after we're talking now, but a couple of days ago when people are listening to this. Is there anything you want to say about the song before we play it?
Oh, I hope you love it. I hope it gets stuck in your head. There's the horns on it. There's synth on it. I feel like it's a little magical song. And yeah, enjoy.
Perfect. So
Awesome.
this was
Thank you.
Kylie Fox. We are East Coast DNA, and this is Confetti.
Calling on you to Toronto again. We just saw your band and you're leaning against the fridge. I swear there was confetti falling around us in slow motion. Rewriting I'm back in the van as your muse, getting matching tattoos, and it all seemed profound until you thought there might be more glitter without me on your sleeve. So quit getting to me. There is no alternate universe for us, babe. I'm not your Scorpio and you're not my twin flame. So don't waste my day with elegies of you and me. I was there too, I remember it clearly. The road and the rust and the end of the story. I sold your guitar and blanked out of my sleep. Our legacy's lost in some cross-faded dream. I still smoke Belmonts, but not 'cause they taste like bad wind. I'm addicted to them. Your letters aren't songs, you're rambling again. A flame isn't fate, and my mom's not your friend. Give your 8-ball a shake when your wife is awake, brooding like a fire escape. There is no alternate universe for us, babe. I'm not your Scorpio and you're not my twin flame. So don't waste my time with elegies of you and me. I was there too, I remember it clearly. The rose and the rust and the end of the story. Is it actually me?